I am looking forward to the debate where I can hold Justin Trudeau to account finally after he skipped out on the first two and challenge him and hold him to account for his broken promises and his massive tax hikes that are just around the corner.
Here's a roundup of the party leaders on day 20 of this election campaign, the halfway mark. Speaking in Whitby, Ontario, Conservative Leader Andrew Scheer promised to help people more easily access the disability tax credit. He made a couple more stops in the GTA before capping his day with a campaign event in Brampton. The CBC's Salima Shivji is covering the Conservative campaign for us this week. Salima?
Vashi, Andrew Scheer is once again in 4 ridings that his party does not hold, once again trying to court that all-important 905 vote, making stops in Whitby, here in Scarborough, before heading to Brampton. Now, there are more ridings here than in many other provinces, and they really swing from party to party in each election. Scheer is trying to hit hard with a strategy of linking Liberal leader Justin Trudeau to former Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne, trying to paint both as spendthrift politicians racking up deficits. Only it feels like somewhat of a desperate response to Trudeau bringing up Doug Ford's name over and over again and the current Premier's toxic reputation, implying that Ford's federal counterpart, Andrew Scheer, will cut programs too. A strategy from the Liberals that looks like it's working. Case in point, this morning a group of mums with their children were waiting for Andrew Scheer, wanting him to hear firsthand how Ford's cuts to autism services are hurting them and affecting their vote.
Andrew's hearing this across the province loud and clearly. He needs to address this.
I won't be voting for Andrew Scheer just because of Doug Ford and what he's done to my family.
Now, Scheer did stop and speak with that group briefly, but it's a message that Scheer really doesn't want to keep hearing. His focus over the next few weeks will absolutely have to be here in Ontario as well as in Quebec, both crucial if he wants to form government. Vashi.
Thanks, Salima. The CBC's Salima Shivji covering the Conservative campaign. NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh continues to focus his campaign efforts in BC.
The families that are struggling and the families in need investments, we want them to know that we've got their back and we're in it for them.
Singh is promising to offer universal affordable childcare by the year 2030. He announced that commitment today in Vancouver. The CBC's Ashley Burke is reporting on the NDP's campaign this week. Ashley?
Vashi, parties vying for power in the upcoming federal election are trying to one-up each other with more incentives for families with children. This age group makes up the largest demographic of voters in the upcoming election, and it is vital to a party's success. And one of the problems that families are facing right now across the country, but especially here in BC, is finding a daycare spot and then actually being able to pay for it. Today, the NDP announced it would create 500,000 new affordable daycare spots in the next 4 years, costing about $10 billion.
There's massive areas in communities where there is no childcare at all, and that means rural and more remote communities, but also in urban centers. There's just not any childcare for families. So what we need to do is build off the work that's happening here in BC and invest massively. Our massive investment in childcare is going to address this problem, make sure there's more childcare spots available across Canada.
Singh also said that his party's goal is to create universal daycare by 2030. Now that would mean daycare that costs $10 a day or less. It's something that's being piloted in BC at a number of locations, including this one where the announcement was today. Now, affordability of everyday life is a central theme in this upcoming election, something that all 3 parties are focusing in on, as well as targeting suburban Vancouver as a place where they hope to pick up seats on the road to forming government. Vashi?
Thanks, Ashley. The CBC's Ashley Burke is with the NDP campaign this week. Green Party leader Elizabeth May, meanwhile, is also in BC today, criticizing her opponent's plans to slash emissions. She says all of them fall short.
This target, the Green Party target, is double the target that Justin Trudeau still calls the Paris target. It's not the Paris target. It's Stephen Harper's target. It was put in place in May 2015.
May has promised to reduce emissions by 60% by 2030, below 2005 levels, that is. That's double the Liberals' target. She reiterated the commitment today while campaigning in Vancouver. Liberal leader Justin Trudeau discussed his plan today to fight gun and gang violence.
We want to strengthen gun control with significant real measures that are going to have an impact. And the Conservatives want to weaken gun control, which I think is the wrong choice for Canadians.
Trudeau spoke with healthcare professionals about his party's plan to crack down on guns. He did so in Toronto, a day after releasing his party's full campaign platform. The CBC's Katie Simpson is covering the Liberal campaign this week. Katie?
Hey Vashi, behind the scenes, the Liberals around Justin Trudeau seem pretty relaxed and optimistic. Given that the campaign is now at the halfway point and the Liberal leader had a blackface scandal, it wouldn't be surprising to see if the team are on the ground would be anxious or frustrated, but they're not. Talking with Liberal sources, they're confident Trudeau is almost past the blackface controversy, and they truly believe that Canadians don't view him as a racist. The Liberal schedule is more relaxed today than what we've seen so far in this campaign. Trudeau has promoted his previously announced plan to fight gun violence at a discussion today in Toronto with doctors and experts who have seen the impact of this kind of violence firsthand. Trudeau will have a quiet night with his inner circle to get as much practice in as possible before Wednesday's big French language debate on the private broadcaster TVA. Vashi?
Thanks, Katie. The CBC's Katie Simpson reporting on the Liberal campaign this week. Meanwhile, People's Party of Canada leader Maxine Bernier spent the day in Windsor, Ontario. That's after a protest outside his campaign event last night turned violent in Hamilton. 4 people were arrested. Here's what Bernier had to say about that.
Free speech and hate speech, it is not the same. And some people want to have a bigger definition, a new definition of hate speech. And we don't think that this is necessary. I understand that we'll have some protests. And you know, we are in a democracy and they have the right to protest peacefully. And I think that will be there. And I have the right to express my point of view.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.